The new gameplay deep dive from Ghost of Yotei tells us a lot more than is apparent at first glance, and I found all those tiny details, so let's begin. The deep dive itself actually showed so much and gave us a lot of information about the game, so this is going to be less of a recap of what we already know and more me diving into the details that got shown in this gameplay that you might have missed, so I hope there's not going to be any repeating of information that you already know. The first thing that I want to draw your attention to that is pretty sad when you think about it is that Atsu is still wearing her childhood robe. If you look at it in these scenes, you can see she's wearing this bright yellow robe with chrysanthemums embroidered all over it, and if we skip forward to the scenes of her as a child, you can see that she's wearing exactly the same robe. You can see it here and here. So just like Kratos holding on to his regalia that he wore when he was a soldier, Atsu has held onto the robe that she was wearing when her family got massacred, which is just heartbreaking. You can see it in more detail here. Chrysanthemums are a symbol of purity and longevity, as well as being the symbol of the Japanese imperial family. So this idea of nobility cut short, or just like holiness, honestly, is apparent in Itsu's outfit. The robe itself is also a huge contrast to the rest of her outfit. You can see in this still here that she's wearing a ragged fur overcoat, her hat is obviously torn to pieces, and she has scraps of fabric sewn into her belt. But the robe itself is incredibly rich, it's embroidered, it's got brocade on it. It's a stark contrast to the clothes that she's had to begin to wear to go on her revenge quest, which I think is incredibly heartbreaking. The fact that this one symbol of her childhood, her robe, which appears to have been happy from what we know of it so far, the robe matches that kind of emotion, that it's glorious and beautiful and obviously well taken care of, but in stark contrast with the armour that she's wearing when she's seeking revenge, because she has turned into this kind of ragged bits and pieces broken person after her family's murder. Another incredible detail about Atsu's outfit is that around her waist she's actually tied the list of names of the people she wants to kill. This is such an Arya Stark coded moment and I absolutely adore it, but it shows that these people never leave her, ever. They are always attached to her, they are always there to be remembered, that's the sash right there, and she's kind of attached herself to those people in a really weird, twisted way. But also it's a really cool way just to keep track of what you've been doing throughout the game. The fact that you can see later on some of the names are crossed off of the list when you're wearing it in the wild. This section right here is the best example of it. You can see the sash that she's wearing around her belt. The names of one of the killers has already been crossed out, so when you're going through your journeys in Japan, you will literally, just like Atsu, always be reminded of these people who murdered your family. One of the most poignant parts of this game deep dive is seeing not only where Atsu's family was killed, but also the fact that you can step back in time and explore those places as a child. There's a lot of symbolism going on in the game already that we can see, and one of the main parts of symbolism is the burning Ginkgo tree. The Ginkgo tree is a symbol of longevity, hope and resistance in Japanese culture, so it makes sense that Atsu is so closely associated with it. And there's a really important detail about the tree itself that she's stabbed against that I want to draw your attention to. Pay attention to the tree in this section. When Atsu goes into her childhood, you can see the tree is blooming, all of the branches are ripe with leaves, and it generally just looks beautiful. But when you go back into Atsu as an adult, only one branch is left surviving. I don't think that's any kind of coincidence. That one branch that's still alive and flourishing, that is Atsu. The tree itself is symbolism for Atsu's family and what it went through. We know that the night when Atsu's family died is called the Night of the Burning Tree, so the fact that Atsu survived that and the tree also survived part of that, I think is really significant symbolism. I don't know whether to read into the fact that there's also offshoots on this side, maybe implying that other parts of her family may have survived, her sibling, but whatever it is, this is just such an incredible bit of symbolism and imagery that the developers have included in the game. Gold, yellow and blue are also really strongly associated with Atsu's family, as well as the robe that Atsu is wearing and obviously the ginkgo leaves. We know that her brother or her sibling, her mother and her father wore blue and yellow outfits. So in this shot right here, we can see that Atsu herself is wearing a yellow outfit, not the chrysanthemum one that she's wearing as an adult and when she gets stabbed, so this is an outfit from earlier in her life. But her sibling here is wearing blue, her father is wearing blue, and her mother is wearing yellow. So there's not really too much to read into there, I think. I just think it's a really strong indicator that the colours yellow and blue are meant to be associated with Atsu's family, specifically yellow with her mother and blue with her father and her sibling. Something also I want to point out here is that her mother has what looks like a bit of wolf fur tied around her waist. Just like Atsu is called the Little Wolf by the snake later on in the gameplay deep dive, and she also has her wolf pack and the wolf following her around. So I think it's a really cool little bit of character building that her mum has that connection to wolves as well. And speaking of her mother, you can also see that her mother has a shamisen on her back. So I'm assuming that playing the shamisen in the game is going to be a way to reconnect with the memory of our mother. And if we go back to Atsu's outfit in the main game itself, we can see that obviously the chrysanthemum robe, but she does have a blue sash on her waist as well, so that might be a sweet way to pay homage to her father and her sibling. Now this isn't Assassin's Creed, so we're not going to be unlocking any viewpoint towers. However, you can navigate across the world using plumes of smoke. In multiple shots of Atsu when she's riding across the landscape, we can see smoke plumes in the distance, and let me just show you one right now. This is one of the clear examples I can find. You can see clearly that there are smoke plumes both here and here, so this is going to be a natural way for us to find points of interest across the map. Side note, I also love the fact that to unlock areas that you found on a map, you have to like piece the map together like a jigsaw. I just think that's really cool. Kind of like Wind Waker almost. Moving on to the different skills that Atsu has, we know that there are multiple different branches your skill tree can go across. So there's Onryo, Core, Melee, Revenge, Wolf, and then underneath it there's this section that's titled Activities and Concepts. I feel like that's a way just to give you more interest about things you can do around Japan, like later on in the trailer we see a game being played at a pub table or an inn table. So there are lots of different ways that you can participate in the local culture, aside from just killing those who get in your way. As for the skills themselves, I think some of them are fairly obvious what kind of things they'll denote. The Onryo, I think we can kind of imagine are like heavy attacks. Core is just going to be your basic kind of attacks. Melee, more focused on getting up and personal, but the two types that really interest me are called Revenge and Wolf. Now let me know in the comments below if you think you know what these could mean. I think Wolf might be related to your wolf pack perhaps, like you can bring in allies during battle, and Revenge I think is the idea of like coming back from the dead or being on low health and having bonuses associated with being on low health. Because Revenge is such a big part of Atsu's story, it makes sense to me that gameplay wise and mechanic wise they would do something to encourage you to give that aura of just wanting revenge. So when you're at really low health, when you've already been attacked loads, that's when your major buffs come out, and that's kind of how you become the Ghost of Yotei, is that you are never quite dead. But let me know in the comments below if you think what Revenge and Wolf might denote in terms of activities and abilities, because I am incredibly curious. Speaking of abilities in the thrilling UI menu, I also need to draw your attention to this. We have the Mother's Charm and the Father's Charm. Now we know that Atsu's father was a swordsmith, so I'd assume his charm affects her abilities with the sword, but interestingly her Mother's Charm has arrows attached to it, which raises the question of whether her mother was a boya. Now there is a boya in Atsu's wolf pack as well. This is the boya right here. A boya is a name for someone who makes bows, so potentially her mother had some skill with a bow, or she was associated with like ranged attacks, and I guess you can associate music with ranged attacks because you hear music from afar, you get attacked from afar, but either way just thought it was a cool little detail that potentially Atsu's mother might have had some combat skill as well. Now it seems only fitting that at this point I do start to talk about Atsu's wolf pack. Number one, sick name, love it, and number two, we know a fair amount of the people who you're going to recruit throughout your time in Japan. So we have Taro the Scavenger, some kind of character with a bird companion behind them. You can see this silhouette pop up, which I will jump to just about now. This is the clearest shot that I have of them. So not only do we have Taro the scavenger here, who looks like they might be a teenager, young adult of some kind, but this is another character that Atsu hasn't found yet. And I am 99% sure this is a bird companion they have. So what that could mean, perhaps they're a scout of some kind, I do not know, but I like that they haven't revealed all the characters in the wolf pack just yet. So as for the rest of the people in your wolf pack, as well as that character and Taro the scavenger, we have Hanbei, Ginji the armourer, Matchlock Murata, who's gonna be to do with guns, I'm pretty sure, Sensei Takahashi, Master Yoshida, Hana the kunai artisan, Ran the boya, who I've already mentioned, and Master Enomoto. Now, those who have Master before their name appear to be experts with certain kinds of weapons. Master Enomoto is an expert with the Kusarigama, sorry if I'm saying that incorrectly, and Master Yoshida is an expert with the Odachi. Hana the kunai artisan, kunai is a type of throwing knife, so we're going to be collecting not only those who are helpful to finding different resources and stuff, but also those who can help us with weapons, which is really cool, which is why I think the wolf ability might be to do with having your wolf pack help you in battle, because I'm definitely going to want a master of the Odachi fighting alongside me when I'm in a bit of a tiff. Ghost of Yotei might also have its own version of Gwent. In this scene that is just about to pop up, you can see Atsu playing with what I thought at first was Tiddlywinks, and that's a English-British game, but I think it's probably closer to Toads. It looks like she's trying to flick coins off of the table in what I assume is an inn. So right here we can see that she's flicking a coin to try and push other coins off of the table. These are ones that have been successfully pushed off here. So this just looks like an easy-ish kind of game that you can use to win some extra money throughout your travels. And there's also going to be painting. Surely there's going to be a scene that pops up that shows Atsu painting and then looking up at Mount Fuji. I don't know what use painting could have, potentially you can sell them during your journeys, but I do think it's really cool that you can find stunning places throughout Japan and choose to capture them in an illustration. It's going to pop up right about, wait for it, here. I do think these are going to be places that are already predestined by the game itself, because you've got to have a place to like sit and paint. But either way, I think it's a really cool way to add to the like samurai film tradition of the wandering samurai, of the wandering mercenary who might, yeah, be killing people and stuff, but also has an artist's heart. I'm just a complete sucker for that. And that's everything I could gather from the Ghost of Yotei deep dive that just got released. Was there anything in the footage that you noticed that I didn't pick out? Any other kind of symbolism that you think is apparent throughout the gameplay we've seen so far? And of course, are you excited for the game? I am. I am so excited to delve into it and to analyse it right up to the very last millimetre. So if you're interested in more Ghost of Yotei content, please do like this video, leave a comment if you would like, and subscribe to Eurogamer for more videos about video games almost every single day. If you're interested in these type of analyses, I do have ones on the channel for Silent Hill and Resident Evil Requiem, and also the new game called Ill that's coming out. So if you're interested in any of them and want to get even more anal about details with me, I invite you to join me in this quest, and I will see you folks next time.
Want to boost your game collection and get a great selection of titles every month? Well, now you can with Humble Choice. Every month you get a hand-picked mix of awesome PC games, and this month's lineup is now live. Running through to August the 5th, you can grab Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader, Demon Ex Machina, Death's Door, Cat Quest 3, and much more. Whether you're building your backlog or discovering something new, now is the perfect time to pick up these fan favourites. And don't forget that every purchase helps a good cause, with this month's Humble Choice membership supporting Covenant House. Get a curated mix of PC games every month, all for just £8.99 a month. Skip a month or cancel any time, and know that 5% of your membership goes to charity. So if you love discovering great games and doing a little good while you're at it, check out Humble Choice today.